Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. That is a lot of Torah that we have shared over the years. What a blessing to be able to share with you. And Peter, to welcome you officially as a member of Am Yisrael, as you have been seen by a Beit Din, you immersed in mikvah. Your Hebrew name is Yoram. Right now, you say you are the happiest person you can imagine. Peter, you are making me a happier person than you might imagine. What a blessing it is to dedicate today's Torah to you, my brother. So proud to welcome you into our community in an official way, that you have been part of this community for a very long time. I'll continue to be so happy about you throughout today's broadcast. Carl and Jerry, Amy and Arlene, Debbie and Linda, Boker Tov, Barbara and Linda, Karen, Cynthia and Penny. So good to see you. Peter, you're getting Mazel Tovs on Instagram too, you should know. Jonathan and Neil, Deborah, and John. Good to see you. Barbara and Stanley. Nice to see you, friends. Michelle and Amy. Good to see you. Cecile, Debbie, Amy, welcome. All right, friends. Let's take a moment, sing a bracha. Minna, your granddaughter is visiting you today. That is very sweet. Thank you for sharing that. All right, everyone. It's good to see you. Let's take a breath, sing a bracha. We'll learn some Torah in honor of Peter, our beloved brother. Mazel tov, my friend. Good morning, everyone. Happy birthday, Arlene, and my son, Moshe Tzvi. So good to see you. Moshe says hello on Instagram to everyone from philosophy class. Go back to class. Okay. Friends, it is very, very good to be present today for a million reasons, including that it is Barbara's birthday, and it is Arlene's birthday, and Peter, our beloved friend, went to Beit Din in Frankfurt yesterday. His new Hebrew name is Yoram. What a pleasure, what an honor, how exciting it is to be able to see joy in our lives, and the joy that we share. We make sure to share it. It actually leads directly into the reflection that I was hoping to share today, which is on the double Torah portion that we read this Shabbat, Acharei Mot and Kedoshim, and I am so grateful to my colleague and teacher, Rabbi Avital Hochstein at Hadar, for sharing a powerful interpretation of this week's Torah portion. I recommend you finding her online, learning from her as much as you can, maybe even in person, especially these written Divrei Torah that she has been providing on behalf of Hadar all year. She begins with a theme that we've explored now a few times because the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, that we find ourselves in, really is concerned and focused on the work of bringing sacrifices. The Hebrew word for a sacrifice is a korban, and it is connected in idea, even if the etymology is a little bit different, to a word that sounds similar. Korban, sacrifice, feels like the word karov, which means close. Lehakriv is to bring a sacrifice, but to bring it near. These double Torah portions, the ones that we read this Shabbat, are premised, or at least the aftermath, of a sacrifice gone wrong, of nearness gone wrong. That is the core of what Rabbi Hochstein is writing, and I want to share a midrash that she quotes. It's Vayikra Rabbah, thousands of years old, and I'm going to share the way she brings it into the conversation. Vayikra Rabbah says, Bar Kapara, a name of a rabbi, in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Bar Elazar, said. So this chain of tradition says this. For 4 reasons the sons of Aaron died. And it's important for us to remember what those moments were, what that moment was. Nadav and Avihu bring in Parshat Shmini 2 weeks ago, or many more, feels like lifetimes every week recently. They bring a sacrifice that was not commanded. It's a strange fire. We don't quite understand what it was, which leads even the rabbis of antiquity to make suggestions because it's not clear. What did they do wrong? Our Parsha is called Acharei Mot, after the death of. So ours is the next chapter where we look back and we wonder what could they possibly have done wrong. So Rabbi Bar Kapara, in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Elazar, said, for 4 reasons the sons of Aaron died. 1, because of drawing near. What was that, drawing near? They entered the Holy of Holies. That's not the biblical text. This is a rabbinic interpretation trying to answer the question, what did they do wrong? So one suggestion is they went in to the innermost sanctum, to the Holy of Holies. The second suggestion is because of the offering. They brought a sacrifice that was not commanded. 3, because of strange fire. They brought in fire, according to this midrash, from a household stove. They introduced something that was not supposed to be there because it wasn't specifically designated as holy. And the 4th suggestion, because they did not consult one another, and that's based on the verse, actually, Ish machtato, each person with their fire pan, which suggests that they did not talk to each other. Now, Rabbi Hochstein goes in a beautiful direction for us to consider. Many of us, unfortunately, have had the experience of nearness that is uninvited. Relationships where the needs of both were not tended. We've experienced the breakdown of communication. And sometimes when something that is not part of the relationship finds its way in. I want to give you her language because it is so exquisite. She says, number 1, because they drew too near. When we yearn for closeness, says Rabbi Hochstein, whether with the divine, another person, even when trying to offer something to someone, even with a good intent, we risk crossing a line. We may come too close, too quickly, or in ways that overwhelm or transgress boundaries. This is important. The notion of consent should never be left behind. Encountering each other must be based on mutual understanding. Because of offering. The phrase because of offering, she says, points to a second kind of failure, approaching without invitation, even with the best intention, she said. If that approach wasn't called for, it can be a mistake. This interpretation, she writes, teaches that true closeness requires context. It depends on dialogue. It is essential to ensure that the person before me genuinely desires, intends, is calling for, and aspires to be close. This is important work for us to do. Because of foreign fire, that's the Eish Zara, the strange fire. So she writes, this points to an approach that includes something disconnecting, an attempt to draw near while remaining in some essential way distant or like a stranger. She calls the intimacy, the illusion of intimacy, without true connection. To bring foreign fire, the strange fire, she writes, is to attempt to hold two opposing realities at once, to reach for nearness while relying on gestures that are fundamentally out of sync. So powerful. And she brings one forth. They did not consult one another. She says that reveals the inner state of Aaron's sons, that they were distant from each other. If one lives in a state of disconnection, estranged from others, lacking inner harmony, it is impossible to truly seek closeness. If a person is not attuned, not capable of relationship, not grounded in connection, how can they hope to draw near? It is so powerful to hear these interpretations from this week's double parsha, because in essence, and Rabbi Hochstein brings this very clear, that relationship requires something important: mutual understanding. It requires consent. And it also, importantly, this week tells us that there is an after. There is a path forward for the relationship between people and between the people and God, even after things have gone wrong. But it requires that all four of these elements be examined. Are we tending to our relationships? Have we articulated what our comfort zones are? Have we asked for consent before coming close? Have we made sure that even with the best of intents, what we're trying to offer is welcome? These are big relational questions. They have religious overtones, because we have to get this right between people for us to imagine getting it right between us and God. And I want to return, not because it connects directly, but because it made me so happy when I logged on this morning to hear, Peter, from you, that you went to Beit Din just yesterday in Frankfurt. You were always part of the family. You were always my brother, our brother. What a gift, friends, it is to know that these relationships are welcome. I used to serve as a pulpit rabbi and often worked with people exploring Judaism to affirm their identity. And by the time they came to me, they had largely done the work, which was to be brave enough to cross the threshold of a synagogue. And I remember once, it just became clear to me that I needed to tell the person before me the following. I said, "You probably expect me to send you away 3 times, telling you that you don't want this." I said that communicates 3 things if I were to do that. Number 1, Judaism isn't worth it. Number 2, you haven't thought this through. And it also would suggest to you that I'm mean. So I want to say, Peter, not to you, you've made the journey, but in honor of you, to those who might still be making the journey, the Torah is awesome, and I don't think we're mean. And when someone comes forward saying, "Please, I'm your family. I want more of that. I want to be more available to you," not only is that the biggest gift a rabbi can receive and a community can receive, it is also an affirmation of what Rabbi Hochstein is talking about here. That navigating that relationship with sensitivity and kindness and love is an enormous gift. It is a prerequisite to human connection. And when we get it right, oh, what joy. So, Peter, Mazel Tov. Thank you for the gift of you. Mazel Tov to us all, friends, for the gift of each other, for Torah and for kindness, for knowing that relationships, which are very demanding, are also possible. Maybe even Acharei Mot, Kedoshim, Kadosh, holy. Let's send our hearts to the east, friends, and sing. Kol hon balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.